Hey Hayden,
Hey Greg.
I just popped in.
I know you did.
How are you doing?
I heard you pop.
Yep.
Fun?
So, hey, did you see my cufflinks today?
No. Oh, where did you get those?
Aren't they pretty cool?
Yes.
I've got American flag cufflinks today. My wife got them for me for Father's Day. Yeah, Father's Day. She got them for me for
I
Father's
haven't
Day.
noticed them.
I like them. I'm very patriotic cufflinks today. So thank you for tuning in today for the Saving the Farm Chapter 3 review. And we're talking about, we're just going to summarize the chapter and talk about it because I wrote the book and you helped edit it and you know a lot about it and you certainly read it and gone through it.
I've done enough seminars that I've just kept accumulating information, and you've done a radio interview with someone from a senior living facility. And
So I'm Greg McIntyre and this is Hayden Soloway.
good morning or afternoon.
And we're going to just review chapter 3 with you. So we did chapter 1 and 2 already, okay? And so chapter 1, it was what on earth is elder law and why is it so important? And if you go back through our social media feed or on our YouTube channel, you can see those videos, okay? Or sign up on our e-newsletter. Our e-newsletter is available also online, mcelderlaw.com, and you can sign up right on the homepage there, and we'll send you these in your email and other important information regarding long-term care and other issues. So chapter 3 is very important, okay? So chapter 3 is what is long-term care, and it is the longest chapter in the book and the longest discussion because it's the biggest place of fear that many seniors have. And Hayden, what percentage of seniors over 65 are going to need some type of long-term care during their lives right now?
Well, the last number was 69%, which rounded up, we talk about in terms of 70%.
It's right at 70%.
60, yeah.
Right at 70%.
That's a big number. I have about 10 friends. That means 7 of us are going to bail out into a facility of some kind.
You know, I talk about Vegas. Those are better than Vegas odds, right?
Or worse.
Worse than Vegas odds. That's right. That's a better way. Those are worse than Vegas odds. And Vegas wasn't built on winners, was it?
No. You can drive through Vegas and see those buildings. It'll be immediately
it's built
clear.
Built on your money,
yes,
right?
That's right.
So, what is long-term care, Hayden?
When you get to the point, when you 55 or older, you get to a point where you can't do things for yourself at various levels. It might just be that your children are concerned because you leave the coffee pot on, or the breaking things, or whatever. Then there's a level there that you enter, and then they progress on different levels depending on what you're able to do for yourself. So we go from independent living to what's the next
Assisted
one?
living?
Assisted living, and then there are 2 levels.
Nursing
of that.
home care. Could be in-home care though. Doesn't mean you have to go anywhere. You know, in-home care. And could be life enrichment or adult daycare. Right? That's a very affordable way. And we talk about all those in Saving the Farm and have interviewed experts in those fields to which include those interviews in the chapters to talk about what those levels of care are and how to pay for each level of care.
And we interact with others who deal with these, as well as the owners and the people who run these facilities. We're in meetings with them on various committees, so we're always keeping up to date on what's going on in that field.
Sure.
And so.
Absolutely. And so how can people get the book if they want to follow along with us on this review, or if they want to look at the details in the chapters?
Well, obviously our website's a good place to go.
And what's that web address?
www.mcelderlaw.com.
www.mcelderlaw.com. mcelderlaw.com. That's right.
Mick for the Mick. McIntyre.
On the Mick. So /Saving the Farm would take you straight there. mcelderlaw.com/Saving the Farm. Okay.
We have them here. At least we will in the new book.
Sure, you can call our office if you want to call the office for the book, or the number for the book at the office. It's toll free 855-472-4050, and we'll flash that number across the bottom of the screen there. 855-472-4050, to order a copy of the book straight from our office. If you go to mcelderlaw.com/savingthefarm, you're going to be able to order a print copy or an ebook copy from iTunes or Amazon Kindle, or you can buy the enhanced copy for your iPad or iPhone, or e-reader, Kindle reader, which would have videos of those interviews with the experts and be talking about different subjects and elaborating on them. I love the audiobook too. Curtis Rosser, who has a voice like butter,
He does.
narrated that,
Yeah.
and he did a great job. So you can go on iTunes or Audible to get the audiobook as well, right?
Right.
So, well, thank you, Hayden. And that's a great intro into this. I mean, you know, according to a 2005 U.S. Department of Health and Human Services report, about 69 or close to 70% of people are going to need some type of long-term care of people who were over 65 at that time, and those are just huge odds. So what are people scared of? What are seniors? What are their families scared of when long-term care needs come around, or somebody needs some in-home assisted living or nursing home care?
Well, their first priority is care for their family member. They want to make sure that they get the right person in the right place. And then they look at how much it's going to cost to keep them there. And it's extremely expensive, and we can get into, the ways people pay for them and the way that we can preserve assets. But it's estimated in the chapter, it says even estates of $500,000 to $2 million could be drawn down to zero with the enormous cost of prolonged health care. Like in a memory care unit or something, which is generally where the Alzheimer's, the very far progressed dementia
Right, where the body can far outlive the mind.
Yeah, it depends on how much care you need, whether you need one person to assist you or two people to assist you. And of course the cost goes up considerably. And if you're in a memory care unit, that $2 million is not unrealistic. And I mean, people save a lot and they plan for their care, but sometimes we don't plan that well or don't have that many assets. So we look at other things to help.
That's very well said. That's so true. So we talk about in some of the other chapters the strategies and ways to avoid that spin down and protect property, like with Ladybird deeds or life estate deeds, or using trust like Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, things like that, which I can grab my representation of the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust here. Right, which yes. You made me. Do you remember making this for me?
Well, actually, I was only credited with the label.
Oh, just the label?
Yes, just the label.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, it's got my monopoly money, my houses and stuff in there, and it really is a great representation of how you could take part of your monies or part of your family's earnings, if you wanted to, take all the money out. You could place a portion of it. You getting everything else out of it? You can take a portion of it and put it in there to protect for long-term care, okay? Or from that long-term care Medicaid spin down. And you could keep, maybe you wanted to put 2/3 in there and keep a third out. And you could put houses and properties in there if you wanted to. You could. I would not put the car in there. I don't do that.
I have an antique car.
Yeah, you could put the antique car in there. That was an antique car.
That's a dream. I just a little E-Jag would be nice, 60s vintage.
And then, we're going to lock it up and appoint a trustee, and that money's going to live on and stay there and can be invested until, I pass, and then automatically it goes to who I want it to go to, right?
Which is what your goal was.
We do Veterans Asset Protection Trust too.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So and then if some money needs to come out, that's the spigot. It can be brought out there, right? See, there's some money coming out, right? Yeah.
Can you put a special needs trust money into that category?
No. A special needs trust is different. Mm-hmm. Special needs trust is much different. Oh, that's a very good point. Did I say very good point?
You said very good point.
That's a very good point. Okay? The special needs trusts are allowed, you can put an unlimited amount of funds in a special needs trust for a special needs family member, and that does not count as a gift. It's part of a Medicaid spin down. It's a valid way to move money.
And to protect it for a child who is a special
Who's
needs
a special
person.
needs child? Absolutely. Absolutely. There are able accounts now where you can put 100,000 in without setting up a special needs trust, but they're limited. I think to 14,000 per year that you can put them in there. Or there's some limitations on there. I like special needs trust better personally, but it's all up to the opinion of the person, you know.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not your attorney unless you hire me. Okay. So. But let's keep reviewing the book in chapter 3.
Yes.
Okay, so long-term care. Independent living facilities. What are independent living facilities, Hayden?
It's for people who can generally take care of themselves on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
They just need to be, maybe just have a safe place, know that they're in every night and they're not wandering around needlessly. But they want to be able to maintain some independence. And people that own a car,
Sure.
perhaps keep a car there.
There are some really nice independent living communities.
Sure.
Really nice ones. You know, would you put that in the class of a Crystal Springs or something like that? Is
Yes.
that independent living?
Yeah, okay, definitely think so.
So that's a property that Hayden and I both toured, and the builders have let us tour, and it's a no-step community.
Very
From
nice.
front porch to patio. No lips or anything to trip over within the house. All doorways the size that if you had to have a wheelchair, even for a temporary period of time, wouldn't be a problem wheeling around in that home. And the showers can be made to be roll-in, you know, things like that. So, and the countertops, I think, are set at a level where they're accessible even if you're in a wheelchair
That's
as well.
what I understand. And those communities are springing up because the 85 and older age people are the fastest growing percentage or segment of our population.
Silver tsunami.
Yeah, silver tsunami, exactly, that's what they are calling it.
Mhm.
So, you know, we're coming, guys, you gotta have a place for us.
Right,
So-
and plus, I think, you know, neighborhoods, you've talked about before, you know, one of the great keys to longevity is living around your friends, living with friends. What if your
Having
friends move out,
interaction.
they're moving into communities, and they're, you know, and then you're the only one left in the neighborhood. You could kind of age-proof your house, too. We talked about
Sure.
doing that
And there are people
with
who
people
do that.
who do that, you know, about, you know, making the home that way as well, your existing home, or putting in an elevator, or just you know, treating it as a one level, things like that.
It's a good thing to think about that in advance and plan by looking at, you know, the living quarters that your parents are in,
Sure.
and whether that would be the best place for them to stay. Are they near neighbors? Would they be closer to family members? Although they say seniors are better if they remain close to their friends than if they uproot and move
in Crystal
to
Springs,
where
there are
their
golf,
children
there are golf carts there.
Mhm.
They're jetting around the golf cart, park it, charge it in the garage or whatever, and then across the street, or across the road, just literally, is the senior center.
Yeah.
And in that community, and they can go over there and play games or work out or get on the computers or have lunch or whatever they need to do. I love that situation that's set up over there.
I think that's nice.
There are assisted living facilities, which is kind of a step up from there, right?
Mhm.
Assisted living.
Most of those people have disabilities and require aid of some kind or another.
But they
it's
can still get around.
independent. They probably could
Still
still have a car if
maintain
they were able to
independence.
drive.
I know my grandfather was in assisted living care for like 14 years, and he was very independent and drove to Bojangles in the morning for a long time to get breakfast, get him a ham biscuit. So, yeah, and I think cost of assisted living is generally lower than cost of skilled nursing care. Okay,
Sure.
you know,
Well, in your book, in the subchapter on assisted living facilities, well, independent living facilities first, the average cost is listed right now at between $1,500 and $3,000 a month. And then when you move up to assisted living, it bumps up to $3,500 a month because you do require some more intensive care, you know, more manpower on the
Sure.
staff.
and we've got a great interview there at the end of the assisted living section. I think in assisted living, there's someone there to give you medications as well, and to
Well, that's one of
cook
the
all the
first
meals.
problems I imagine
Right,
people have.
right.
You know, I find myself with, you know, not failing to remember things that I used to very readily be able to recall. And of course, I'm still doing my own meds and will for probably many more years. But I am seeing that happens.
I'm just not taking any.
I know.
I refuse to take my meds.
Well,
I'm off my meds. Hayden.
I could talk to you about that, but that's
Okay.
that's another show.
So that's funny. So Brookdale Senior Living, we interviewed a Kelly Agee, okay, which at the time was the regional vice president of operations for Brookdale's Southeast Division. And Brookdale it was a national provider of assisted living or senior services with over 80,000 associates. And so they're a huge company.
And 1,100 properties.
1,100 properties. And we talked to Kelly just about the different aspects of senior care regarding assisted living care, and about how that can be paid for. You know, Medicaid in many cases can come in and pay for assisted living care. Not as easily or readily as with nursing home care, but they can be activated to pay for that. And we do that. Also, you know, I'm wearing my American flag here, and I've got 3 American flags on today, and my American flag cufflinks that I'm very proud of. But, you know, veterans aid and attendance, pension benefit can be activated for a veteran, spouse of a veteran, or spouse of a deceased veteran to pay for assisted living also. And we have people who have shortfalls in assisted living and can't afford it. And then all of a sudden, if we activate that benefit, then, you know, they can not only afford it, but they or actually have a surplus of money each month.
Yes.
Which is nice.
And it's amazing to us how many veterans don't know about this.
Veterans aid and attendance.
Yes, yeah. I mean they've heard veterans disability, and I think they tend to want to put that into that category. It's totally separate. So if you're not familiar with this and you're a veteran, you need to know this for when you're ready.
That if you were in during any wartime event, not necessarily on the front lines, but just anywhere in the military, anywhere on planet Earth, you know, and there was this window of wartime event going on, and you were in active duty, and you could be eligible for a pension benefit of 2 married veterans. It's up to approximately $34,000 per month. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, per year. Per year, yeah, annually. So that's great, and it's for the veteran, spouse of a veteran, or spouse of a deceased veteran. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. Nursing home care is on page 51. That's the next level of care we discuss. Now, nursing home care, I say really rule of thumb is, you know, when you're not able to get around anymore on your own.
And around the clock care is one of the other criteria.
Around the clock care, then nursing home care is really what level you are. Okay, if that takes place, you know, there's an increased cost of care. Okay. You know, it can be very expensive.
From a semi-private room is just over $80,000 when this was written.
Average.
Yes.
Nationwide, sure.
It's a little bit more for a fully private room, which is going to run you $91,000.
$91,000.
Yeah. So you're already talking close to $100,000 a year. So when you begin thinking that the average length of stay for a senior in some type of long-term care facility or home care is $91,000 a year for this. $100,000, almost $100,000. The average stay or average event is 3 years. All right, that's $300,000 almost. Because there are probably additional costs too, and $91,000 is an average. So depending on where you live, can make the difference between the 90 and 100 and 110.
Absolutely.
So going up there. So that $1
planning
million
ahead
that you've saved and knew you were going to have a wonderful life cruising the Viking cruises in Europe or whatever,
nice.
It is now coming down. So
that's why long-term care insurance is great. If
yeah.
you can afford that, and if you can qualify for it, that's a great thing if you can afford it. If you can't, let's sit down and talk. You know, you'd want to sit down and talk with an elder law attorney about planning ahead, getting your foundations in place, general durable power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, living will, and then maybe some trust planning or at least some protected deed planning. And how should you position your money? Your investments might be a good time to get the dream team together, which is your attorney and your financial planner working together. So make them talk, right? And in this chapter, at this part of the nursing home care, we have a spotlight on Peak Resources. And Chris Thompson, when we did this interview, was the executive director at Peak Resources in Shelby. And we talked about, he had a great interview. You can find the video of that interview on our YouTube channel or the podcast on the Elder Law Report podcast, which you can get on the Google Play Store for Android or phones or iTunes, okay, on any Apple device. And Chris just did a great job talking about the Medicare criteria. He knows it so well, in and out. Medicare Part A and B, and how to pick the right assisted or nursing home. One that's clean.
I like the examples that she gave. She listed three. Excuse me, he listed. I was thinking of. We have a radio guest who we're going to be talking to who works for Peak, and so I was talking to her today just to confirm that.
Okay.
But he says pervasive odors. And things have changed so much. I remember when my grandmother was in a nursing home, that's the first thing you noticed when you walked in the door. There was a consistent smell that almost all of them had. They were dreary, and things have changed so much. It would not hurt any senior to go take a look at some of the nursing homes or the facilities today, because I think that they may have more fear of it than they should have. They say, are the residents of the facility happy? Are they socializing, doing different activities, and are the staff members happy? And I know one of the facilities my father was in, the first time I walked in to check it out before we took him there, he just does rehab and then he gets better. But they had oldies music going on, and every now and then I'd see one of the staff members kind of skip along or give a little nod of the head with the music. But the two things I think that are important to me, and I think are important to my father. Number one for my father, definitely the food. If the food is good, they're generally happy. They're usually at 4:30 there waiting on the food to come at 5, because there aren't a lot of events in the day to look forward to, but meals are that. So ask them if they'll feed you a meal before you decide.
And then, Chris did a great job with this interview and just giving us all kind of valuable information. And then we talk about adult daycare. Adult daycare. I don't love that term. Ours in Shelby is called the Life Enrichment Center. Okay.
Oh, I like that better than adult daycare.
I like that term.
Yeah, I do too.
But that's really where you can go down. We talked to Susie Kennedy, who's the director at Life Enrichment. And Susie Kennedy is just such a smart lady.
She has lectured around the world on elder care, seriously, in foreign countries, and is called on to speak on that subject everywhere. And she's a wonderful lady and a very good friend. And she's just a great resource.
Sure, and
a great
Susie
asset.
talks about how to build and grow a life enrichment center or adult daycare in your town or neighborhood, and that for a very affordable fraction of the price of assisted living care or in-home care.
You could probably couple those. Have the someone come in the evening who's prepared to deal with some of their issues, and then adult daycare in the daytime.
You could certainly combine adult daycare with in-home care in the evenings. I agree with that. And they get their medications during the day at a life enrichment center or adult daycare, and they have they can do I think certain physical therapies there, and just all kind of different activities there that are going on.
I think they have a salon where they can wash hair and do the mani-pedis. And with seniors, pedicures are important, and it's not something they can always do themselves. So I think
that's right. They do have haircuts and mani-pedis and all kind of cool things there. And cooking classes, and cook together and do all kind of things. And it's just a really neat place. I enjoy it. And it's super nice. that
When,
we're talking about.
when you walk in, you get the idea immediately that everybody's happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just the attitude is great. The coaching that they must do, you know, because it's hard sometimes working with seniors, but it's very rewarding. You can tell that they enjoy what they do.
So then we move on to home health care. That's a certain, a desirable, very desirable type of long-term care, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
In-home care.
Yes, I think that's what everybody.
The
Everybody's
wave of the
not
future
there.
is what I call it. Yeah.
Yes.
The wave of the future.
Well, but you know how many times when we ask for a show of hands, how many people want to stay home?
Sure.
They
Or would rather go
85,
to,
95%.
would rather stay in home.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. So
And it's amazing what they can do for you at home now.
it is. Even ventilator care, laptop-sized ventilators. I mean, in-home care is available. It's just, you've got to pay for it. Can't tap the Medicaid benefit necessarily to pay for it, unless there's a copay. There's certain situations where there's copays, and long-term care insurance will pay for it
Yes.
if there's a long-term care component, or life insurance with long-term care riders can pay for that. And to really explain long-term care, after we summarize long-term care and the health and longevity benefits of staying at home, we talked to Joe Seidel, who is just an expert and a director of Bayada Home Healthcare, which is a great nationwide company, okay? And he talks about all kinds of services they offer: bathing, dressing, administering medications, breakfast, cooking breakfast, housekeeping, laundry, miscellaneous chores, errands such as helping buy groceries, prescription pickup, and generally just company, company for something, companionship. And that's very important too.
Well, one of the things they said here, that one of the reasons why people like to stay at home and describe it, my home is my castle kind of thing. He said, it's where people can feel comfortable. If I want to walk around in my underwear, I can walk around in my underwear. So you're really, you can treat it as if it is your home, because it is your home.
Unless you're a king or a queen.
Yes.
And then your castle is your home.
Buckingham.
Your home
Yeah.
is your castle. Your castle is your home, right? Mi casa, su casa. So, paying for home health care. We have the next section, paying for home health care, where we really dive into the cost of home health care and some different ways that can be paid for. Such as, veterans aid and attendance could be activated to do that. Private funds, and we talk about Veterans Administration benefits there. The aid and attendance program and the home attendant program. And we talk about the differences in those programs. And then we interview Ruth Huffsteller with Helping Hands Nursing Service Incorporated about her home health care agency and different ways that people can pay for home health care. I mean, I think home health care would be the way to go for me.
That's what I thought too.
But there's a proper place and time for each one of those types of health care we just discussed.
And one's not necessarily better or worse. Sometimes it's just, well, it is. That's not true. I just contradicted what I'm saying. Sometimes you just need to, like whether you want to go into an assisted living or whether you want to stay home, it's a matter of preference, but you can do it. You have the choices now.
To me, it's finding the right fit also. What's the best fit for the money? How are we going to pay for it? And how can we achieve those goals? And I think contacting healthcare professionals and legal professionals and financial professionals can help you and your family get a good grasp on how that can happen.
That's true.
And then last but not least, we talk about hospice care. And, we have, I'll just read the paragraph from hospice care. Hospice is an amazing organization. Hospice is really a hybrid of in-home health care and nursing home care. Hospice care is usually accessed by the patient's family for end-of-life care. Hospice can assist and a range of duties and allows the family to spend the quality time needed with their loved one while hospice attends to other necessary duties. Hospice also has a number of care facilities where a patient may stay around the clock. I made it a point to seek out an expert on hospice care for this book, and I'm proud to present Patty McMurray detailing hospice care in the spotlight below. And each interview is called a spotlight in our book. And Spotlight on Hospice Care interviews Patty McMurray, who has been with hospice care for 25 years at the time we wrote the book, and tells us all about the history of hospice, what hospice care is, what it does. So we really delve into hospice care there as well.
95% of people who are asked, how would you like to die, are going to answer at home. And while hospice does that, and that's what they are universally thought of as, the place where you go to die, they can provide services to people who are seriously ill under certain circumstances. They can pay for certain pain medications. They can help make patients feel comfortable in their home or at hospice. And if you have someone who's beginning to enter that phase of life, it would be worth your time, both monetarily and psychologically, I guess, to learn to deal with this by calling people at hospice, because they also know things they can do to bring children into the process. They do a memory bear workshop and things like this that help the kids, just lessen the impact of this serious illness and impending death. But you should talk to them. It's not the place you go to die. It's a place where they care for you when you get to that point and help the family in a lot of different ways. So you really should call them.
Thank you, Hayden. Thank you for helping me with Chapter 3. Will you help me with Chapter 4 next week?
I would love to read Chapter 4 next week.
Okay, great.
I love your book. I think everybody ought to have a book.
Thank you. And, in the book we have an expanded table of contents that lets you drill down to any specific portion, such as in Chapter 3. Anything that you want to know, about nursing home care or home health care, you can drill down to that specific subsection or section of the chapter. And I tried to make the book in large enough print where it's pretty easy to read, right?
Yes, you pushed the margins out further and further, and the print got bigger, trying to keep the book in a manageable size, because
Sure.
I can tuck this in my purse and read it. And if we don't say it on every show, I like to try to include the fact that we were surprised at how people read it from cover to cover. I read it from cover to cover, and it was hard for me not to pay attention to the edits for reading the content. Then we have a friend who calls it her bathroom book. She keeps in there and reads a chapter here and there. I know, but she's so funny, and I love her so much.
So if you'd like a copy of Saving the Farm, call us at 855-472-4050, or you can go to mcelderlaw.com/savingthefarm and buy it there. And we'll get it out to the house or wherever.
Or we have them here. We don't have that many right now. I think we've ordered another case. I hope
We've
so.
got plenty.
Okay.
We've got hundreds.
Really?
Hundreds. Yes. I mean, even when we run out, I have hundreds coming after that. Okay?
All right.
So thank you very much for
Run out.
watching, and thank you for just for being there, and thank you, Hayden, for doing this with me. I appreciate it.
It's
Okay?
my pleasure.
And we'll come to you. The chapter next week is one of my favorites. Okay? That's Chapter 4. It's a special word on dementia and Alzheimer's. Okay? And while we're on that, speaking of long-term care, there's some great assisted living facilities out there that have dementia and Alzheimer units within them, or memory care units, as they're sometimes called, that provide specialized care for dementia and Alzheimer's patients within those facilities.
Well, this article that we're going to have this chapter on is probably the best realistic information you're going to get. Teepa Snow is probably the most world famous lecturer and authority on
Teepa
Alzheimer's
Snow
and dementia.
is the one I interviewed for this, and I mean, we get into a really, really interesting discussion about the details of dementia and Alzheimer's and legal aspects of it and medical aspects. So it was a real eye-opener for me, and I got to ask a lot of questions. I was like, me, let me ask questions. And I got to ask all the questions I wanted. So thank you, Tika, for doing that interview. So tune in next week where we'll do chapter 4, okay? Thank you, Hayden.